hello, Courier Nation. Welcome to the Deliver on Your Business podcast, where you are the boss. Each week, we talk about how to make the most of your business as an independent contractor, as a courier delivering for gig economy apps like Grubhub, DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats, and so many others. Well, welcome back to another episode, Courier Nation. Now, I don't know about you, or maybe I do know about you. You might be a lot like I am on this one, but I got to tell you, the bane of my existence sometimes is a poorly numbered apartment complex. Okay, is there any other kind? I mean, seriously, is there such a thing as a well-numbered, intuitive layout for an apartment complex? Because I haven't found very many if there are. Now, within a couple of days of starting out my very first deliveries, one of my very first ones was kind of one of those make or break it type of moments where I was about ready to just throw in the towel on this whole delivery thing because it was so frustrating. I had this delivery to an apartment complex, and it was this area where there's several complexes that are kind of all woven together. And it's not like there's just, okay, here's a section over here and another section over there, but it's like these complexes are interwoven and intertangled, and there's no rhyme or reason to how this was laid out. And I don't think the GPS knew what to do with that layout, really. And it wasn't helping me find the place. It was hard to see everything. I think it might have been snowing at the time. Now, if you're from the Denver area, probably all I have to say is East Girard. And you probably know where I'm talking about. It's just kind of one of those areas that every time I see an address to there, it puts a shiver up my spine. And now it's been a while. I've gotten to know that area a little bit better, but there's still times I can waste so much time looking for a place. And I had this one delivery, the very first delivery I had there, though, that I get there and it's impossible to tell where I'm at. So I call the customer because I figure, okay, maybe the customer can tell me how to get there. And she says, oh yeah, it's in building 10. And I said, yeah, I see that. It's in your address here, but I'm trying to figure out where building 10 is. Oh, well, it's right next to building 9. Gee, thanks for that. Okay. The reality is I shouldn't have been so sarcastic about that one, because after you do this for a little while, you start to understand there are no guarantees that building 10 is actually next to building 9, you know? And the customer says, just find building 9 and turn right, and 10 is the next building down. And I'm saying, where is building 9? Oh, well, you can get there off of the road. Okay, which road? I don't know. I just moved in, really, so I'm not 100% sure. And I'm like, well, you're a lot of help here, aren't you? And I look up and I find a building 9, but it says building 9B. And the customer says, well, there's no B on my building. That's kind of weird. All right, well, just turn right from there. It should be the next building anyway. And I turn right, and the next building, I can't find a building number for the longest time. And I finally see one, and it's something like 4B. And she says, are you sure that you took a right turn? And I said, I am very sure. I know my right from my left. But then I'm wondering, does she know her right from her left? So I went back and I decided to go to the left instead, but there's no building 10, okay? It may have been maybe the building behind the one I'm looking for. I don't know, but she goes, it's right there. Look, tell you what, I'm right by the swimming pool. Find the swimming pool and you should be able to find me. And I said, there's no swimming pool here. But as I look around, I see a couple of different signs for a couple of different complexes just far enough off that I'm like, which apartment complex are you in? And she says, I don't know. I mean, what do you mean you don't know? Well, I just moved in. I don't remember the name. Okay, look, I'll tell you what, she says. The leasing office is close by. I'll go to the leasing office and I'll meet you. I said, okay, thank you. And I see the leasing office sign, and I head towards that. And the customer says, okay, I'm right at the sign. And I'm parked in front of the sign, and I don't see anyone. She says, no, you're not at the sign. I said, I am at a leasing office sign. At this point, I'm really getting frustrated because she's worse than the GPS. And now she's calling me a liar. And I said, I am definitely at a leasing office sign. This is for the Marks. And she goes, oh, well, this is for Kimberly Woods Apartments. I said, well, that would have been nice to know 5 minutes ago when you got there, right? And I said, okay, thank you. I didn't say that first part there. I'm trying to remain professional, but I said, thank you. And let me look that up. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to hang up so I can look it up. So I'll be there in just a moment. And now, unfortunately, I've got Sprint. And the problem with Sprint as your phone carrier is you can't look stuff up on your phone while you're talking on the phone. So I've got to hang up so I can Google that complex. That was a mistake. because I found the leasing office for that particular complex. I found it pinpointed on Google Maps, so I go right over there. It's like half a block, I think, something like that. But I get there and there's nobody there. So I call her and I said, hey, I'm there, but you're not there. And she goes, oh yeah, I went back inside the apartment. Just come find me. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, so where are you from the leasing office? At least we got a point of reference. She goes, hey, I'm right next to the swimming pool. Great, here we go again. And then I look around, you know what? There are 4, 3, 4, 5 buildings next to the swimming pool. Which one is it yours? She said, it's the brick building. And at this point, I'm really about ready to walk on this whole delivery. You know what? For $3.25, it's not worth it. And so I said, lady, they're all brick. But then I see building 9. I see a building 9 on one of the buildings. It's the 9 barely stands out from behind a tree, and I'm thankful that it's winter and there's no leaves, but to totally block that 9. But I remember she said it's next to building 9, so I check out the building next. Well, that's not. Oh, you know what? She said to the right, and if I turn around the other direction, if I were to turn right, there should be 10, and that's it. So pay dirt. And so I'm noticing it's like a second floor apartment, and I dart up the steps, and it's not there. And I walk around the building, and there's several different entrances, and each entrance has its own set of apartments, and it's like the last possible entrance I could have gotten to. And I'm kind of at that point like, lady, you could have at least told me that your entrance was in the back of the building. That would have helped me. There's all sorts of things that would have helped me. And it's bad enough the apartment was bad, but her instructions were worse. And man, I'm fed up by this point. And of course, she's ticked because her cheesesteaks are cold, right? And I'm mad because she's worse than the GPS. And I got like, $3, $3.50 for that whole thing. And of course, there's no tip because she's not happy. And I'm just ready to hang it up on this whole delivery thing. The whole thing just isn't worth it, Now, folks, you've probably all got similar stories. And in fact, I'd love to hear about them, So look up the Entree Courier on Twitter or on Facebook and tell me your story of your worst apartment complex nightmare. And or you can email me from the contact page from our website. And here's the crazy thing, though. There's just no consistency from one apartment complex to the next on how they number their buildings. You know what I mean? And in one complex, the numbers are clockwise, and in the next one, they're counterclockwise. And then the buildings are opposite of how the building numbers are. The apartments are opposite. And then sometimes the apartment numbers go in a clockwise numbering. And in others, it's kind of like they skip front to back to front. And there's no consistency. And I don't know how much time I have lost trying to find apartments. And so I got to tell you how happy I was to find the Beans app, Beans. And we'll have links to this here, but it is an app that actually gives you apartment building and apartment locations inside of apartment complexes. It is amazing. It is a time saver. It is a godsend. And I'm really excited because we have a couple of the folks from the Beans app who have agreed to come on today and talk about their app. And so we've got Eddie Valdez, who is the product manager, and then one of the co-founders, Akash Agarwal. And I really hope I pronounced your name correctly here. But I'm just glad to have them come on. And so if you hang tight for just a moment here, we've got the interview with our folks from Beans. Well, folks, I am really happy to introduce our guests today. I have Eddie and Akash from Beans. That's a software app that I think is something that can be really good at helping us with that issue having to do with finding apartments. And I want to thank you guys for coming in. Now, I'm leading into this with the episode with a little bit of a story about one of my nightmares, finding an apartment right after I started doing delivery. And I find that, Beans looks like it is a real good solution to that kind of an issue, trying to find things. Because as couriers, like my audience is, our Courier Nation that I call them, a lot of us work for apps like Grubhub or DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats, and there's a whole bunch of others like that. And for most of us, in most situations, we get paid by the delivery. And late deliveries can cost us a lot of money because it just means, on one side, with some of the apps, it can mean you get less of a tip or no tip at all. But it can also cost us money because we can't get as many deliveries done in the same amount of time. And when we're paid by the delivery, that can hurt. At the same time, we can't change our delivery fees, and you can kind of guarantee that these companies are never going to start raising fees for us. But we can increase our fees by being more efficient. And I use something that I call a 40-cent rule. And what I do is I say, you know what, my goal is I'm shooting for about $24, $25 an hour. That breaks down to 40 cents a minute. And so what that means is that every minute that I lose trying to find my way around an apartment is just like it's costing me 40 cents. And when you get into some of these larger, really poorly numbered, poorly identified complexes, some of them, I think the guys were smoking something when they numbered these places. That's those little 40-cent increments add up real quickly. So I was just really excited. I think, when I first found your app and then I started finding that there were apartments in my area that are actually listed on your app, and it's already made a huge difference. But I'm going to turn that over to you guys. And if you guys can tell me a little bit about the Beans app, and what do you see as far as how that can help our drivers in especially on-demand delivery, like what we do, with becoming more efficient.
Yeah. So basically, the Beans Map for Apartments app, it's basically a mapping app built by and for drivers. So we started with drivers, the underserved needs that they have out while they're delivering. And we pretty much went backward from there to try to solve that. And, the app really, as it is now and with the new upgrades coming up, is built from the driver perspective, not from a engineering or a tech perspective, but mainly from, what do the drivers really need to make their job faster and easier. So that pretty much encompasses what our mission is with the app.
Okay. And I'm going to have if you're listening on the podcast, I've got, like I always put up a companion page up on the website at entrecourier.com. And on that companion page, I'll put up a couple of screenshots of what I've had that show exactly what Eddie is talking about here, because what you can do is you can enter in the address for the apartment. It'll then ask you for the apartment number, and you get a little click down or drop down menu that has all the different apartments. You select that, and it will show you not only which building it is, but in a lot of cases, it's going to also show you what part of the building is. And that can be huge. And I can tell you, it's already helped me tremendously in some of the different apartment complexes around here. And so what are the options as far as the app and where people can get that app and where they can download it? Is it on both iPhone and Android?
Yeah, it's in both platforms, on the App Store and Play Store. But we also have a landing page you can go to as well. And it's beans.launchaco.com. But at the App Store and Play Store, they can go there and type in Beans Maps for Apartments, and they'll find us on both platforms. But there are some really great updates coming in several weeks that are going to make a real big difference on the user experience.
Okay. Maybe if you want to tell me a little bit about some of those updates that you're doing, because right now, and just to kind of give an idea of where it is right now, like I mentioned, I'll have some screenshots that I'll give you some links to. But generally what I get is kind of like when I put in the address, it will show me the satellite picture, or kind of like the satellite view. You can switch to, I think, just a map view, if I understand correctly. But it'll give you the satellite view, and then it'll have that building highlighted, and it'll have a little icon over the top of that. And then it will show you also a map dot of where you are, so that helps you get to that. And there's also a comment section I noticed on that, where you can kind of leave a little comment on the building or something like that. So if you want to make a note for yourself, and that can be very helpful. The way I could see it being really helpful is like if you get a door code or something like that. But tell me a little bit about it. Are there any features that I'm missing on the current that really stand out to you? And then tell me about some of the new ones that you have coming up.
Yeah. So pretty much right now, one of the big things that's coming up is the user experience. A lot of the current app that we have now just has everything, in your face, all the relevant information that you need for the whole journey. It has it right there on a one-page static page in a way. But what this new app is going to do, it's going to give the driver relevant information at the appropriate time of the journey. Some of the things that we're going to have on there that's going to be new are some gate codes are going to be available and at the right part of the journey for the driver when it's necessary, when there's secure locations. But for the most part, there's some other features that I'll let that be a surprise, but
Okay.
it's going to be very intuitive, very fast. A lot of things with apps that what we wanted to achieve with this app was that drivers are in a hurry. They want to deliver, and they don't have time to read or look around or go through the app. Where's this? Where's that? So we're trying to create an experience where the driver can just look at it, and within less than a second, they have all the relevant information they need for that moment in the journey. So it's going to be an amazing experience. It's really cool now, but it's going to be even better with the upgrades.
Yeah, and we're building partnerships with several different types of companies, including partnerships with our real estate friends, like apartment complex owners, to basically make it a lot more seamless for the drivers to go in and out of apartments without them having to wait for the right access instructions.
Yeah, I know for us, in the food delivery, there are two big, I guess you would call it kind of like a pig and a python when it comes to that delivery process. And the one side is the restaurant experience. When we get in there, we got to wait forever for the restaurant. And then the other side is finding the customer. Now, when we're delivering to a house, that's not so bad. But when it comes to the customer, that's huge. That kind of stuff that you're doing is just really helpful. You are kind of in the early stages right now. Is this, would you say the app right now, is it like in a beta stage right now, or are you, where would you say you are, I guess, in that process? And you've got a new one or new version coming out. And so where would you say you are in that process, I guess? And when did you get started?
You said that just correctly. It's in beta form right now in the App Store and Play Stores. And the launch of this app in the next few weeks will give users even a more valuable experience. The data we're going to have on there, the UX to go along with it. I actually can't wait to use it. So I'm pretty excited about it myself.
Yeah, I think having that intuitive interface will be huge. That is probably one of the big things that I find with it right now is it's great, but it's like I get the address, and as soon as I can tell, I see an apartment number, and so I pull up the Beans app and I type it in first to see if you guys have it in the database there. And I've been impressed with one thing about it is that, like you said, I think one thing you've really got your thumb on is how important that time is, especially when you're driving, and taking time to put in a lot of information can really be hard. But I have found that, I enter usually about the first three numbers of an address. And if it's in the database, boy, that's popped up right away up at the top of the list. It gives you a whole list of everything that matches. And each number you put in, it kind of narrows it down. But then there's a little symbol next to it that will tell me whether or not it is a Beans. It's got the little Beans icon next to it if it's got that. And if it doesn't, it's got like a Google icon to say, okay, yeah, we can point it to you, but we don't have the information ourselves. Does that sound correct there? Is that?
No, that's absolutely correct. And that's an intended feature. Like we have our co-founder, Nitin, who was at Google earlier, and he was at Google search. So he has that experience of building the right search platform to make it very easy and quick for a user to be able to find what they're looking for. The content has to be relevant and it has to be quick.
Yeah. And it really, that is something that impressed me for, having to type in. The ideal would be is if I could just tap on the address from the app and it pulls that up immediately. But I think that's probably a little more challenging because some of that stuff's pretty proprietary as far as the interface with the different delivery apps. But, and then you mentioned, I guess, that you're looking at something that'll be a little more intuitive so that it kind of changes as you get closer to the drop off. That's what I'm understanding then.
Correct. Yeah, you got that exactly right. And a lot of that's driven from, actually all of it's driven from user discovery, just talking to drivers, doing ride-alongs, delivering ourselves, and making sure that this app, this product was going to solve any pain points for drivers. It's built by and for drivers. So we want to make sure that we stay true to that mission.
Have you got a launch date for, I guess, kind of that next the new version or the official version of it?
It's going to be around 2 to 3 weeks because we want to make sure we want to hit that target, but we want to make sure that it's done right. And so, yeah, that's about around the target, 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. If any of you have ever driven DoorDash before and have experienced some of their app failures, I think that's kind of an example of maybe not checking your software real well. So I'm glad you're being careful about that. We've got that's the one company that we have the worst trouble with, I think, with apps and crashes and different things like that. But now this is currently a free download. Now, will that continue to be a free download as that version 1 rolls out, or are there plans to make a paid version of that also?
Yeah, so you're right. It's a free app, and in the future, as new features come in, there might be some pay associated with that, but the valuable features of the app will be free. And so drivers who use it today and use it when we have the upgrades in a few weeks, it's going to be very valuable as it is, and that part will be free. But we're always in user discovery mode, even when this launches and after, because new things come up, new problems come up, and with that maybe new features, and those could have some pay associated with it. But for the most part, the drivers who use it as is will be very happy with it.
Okay. All right. And in the show notes, I'm going to have links to, I'll get as many links together as I can for everything, including what did you say that was beans dot?
It's just beans.launchaco.com.
Okay. So we'll put links to that, as well as if I can get links to the app stores and things like that, so that people, I really recommend folks that you want to try this thing out. Tell me, I guess, about the market. So, because you're in, I know that you're in Denver. You're in a lot of markets. There's probably some markets you haven't really started out yet, or tell me a little bit about how you're spreading out nationwide and some of those things.
So I'll give you the first answer, then Nitin can probably give you a deeper answer. But just, I guess, briefly, we're very, very strong in California. We have strong coverage in California, Texas, Arizona. Every state has some maps, but those are the 3 strongest markets. And I'll let Nitin give you the deeper answer.
Yeah. So like Ed said, the 3 of our biggest states are California, Texas, and Arizona. I would like to add Florida to it as well. That's another state we've mapped a lot. In general, we have presence across 40 states in the US already. We have mapped over 900 cities, and we have deep coverage in about 11 of the states. When I say deep coverage, which means we've mapped over 80% of the apartments in the 11 states: California, Texas, Arizona, Nevada, Florida, Colorado, Michigan, and a few others. And now we're going deep in the next 11 states based on where the gig economy is at the moment. So we try to follow the tide of where these companies are making their hires, like DoorDash's, Instacart's, Grubhub's, and Uber Eats of the world. And we try to follow along and make sure that we make deliveries seamless for our consumers across where these guys are expanding.
Okay. And one thing you can do right away, Courier Nation, is you can download the app, and generally you can start pulling up, especially some of the more common and complexes that you know of, and generally you're going to be able to tell pretty quickly whether or not they're mapped in your area, and you start to get a feel for it. I think I've noticed probably, it seems like maybe about I couldn't give you a real specific number, but just by experience, seems like about a 60-40 mix of the complexes that I've tried pulling up anyway in the Denver area. So, which I think is really good. And you mentioned there's some places that you're looking. Do I understand correctly? Could this be like an income opportunity sometimes for some drivers? How are you doing? Maybe you can tell me a little bit about how you're doing that mapping. Are you partnering with people? Are there any opportunities that people might be able to find to help identify those maps or anything like that?
Absolutely. So we are looking for people to help us collect information, site maps, property maps, etc., for apartment complexes across the US. And we sort of also incentivize them because they spend time in collecting that information for us. So we would love for anyone who's making a delivery or a trip to an apartment complex out there And if they realize that we don't have data for that apartment complex or a map for that apartment complex, they could either download our Beans Mapper app or just email us the map that they can click a picture of if it's outside the complex, or they can just walk up to the leasing office and take a copy of the map and share it with us. And we can then put it in our pipeline and annotate it for the rest of the community. And our incentives vary by state. They typically vary between $4 and $8 per map, and depending also on the quality of the map submitted.
Sure. And that could be probably a great opportunity for somebody when you get a delivery to somewhere that doesn't have the map, that it's kind of like, okay, you don't have any deliveries coming up. Maybe you're in a little bit slower area or slower time. And you're like, oh, maybe I could just go ahead and do a map of this while I'm here. Make a few extra dollars before you head off to your next delivery.
Absolutely.
So what, tell me a little bit about your experience, I think, so far in doing the mapping. Have you found the apartment complexes are cooperative? Do you find sometimes that they're a little more protective and don't want that information out? Is it kind of a range of all of that? What's that been like trying to get that information from those apartments?
So mostly they have been very cooperative. Like 90% of the times they have been very cooperative. It's a problem that they face. The leasing managers, the property managers waste hours every week trying to navigate delivery drivers to the right address. And a lot of times these people, like even the package delivery drivers, would drop packages at the leasing office because it becomes too hard to find an apartment, right? When you're driving at night, or when the community is just too big, or the apartment has a bunch of deliveries going to several different apartments, and you're on a tight leash of time. You have to finish like 200 deliveries in a day, so on and so forth. So property managers understand this pain. And the moment we tell them that, hey, we're a company trying to solve your pain and solve delivery drivers' pain, and eventually make it very easy for the end consumer to get their product at their doorstep on time seamlessly, they're very happy. And they're more than happy to share their maps with us. In fact, a lot of them have also started creating Beans gate codes so that our community can start using Beans gate codes to access their properties.
Okay. Have any of them expressed concerns maybe about that security around the gate codes and different things like that? Is that something that are they usually a little more protective when it comes to that, or
Absolutely. Like there are cases where they are very protective about the maps, gate codes, and everything. Because think about it, they own the real estate. They've spent millions and millions of dollars in building that community, and they want to give their residents the best experience. And each community has a different set of residents, right? Some communities might have residents who are very prone to online ordering. Some communities might be otherwise. So in general, we have received pushback at times, and then when we receive pushback, we just take a step back. We don't want to force anyone to give their data. We just want to work very in a friendly manner with everyone. So we collect whatever we can, and our hope is that in the next couple of years, we will be able to prove to the industry, especially the real estate industry, the value of what we are doing, and it will automatically create an inbound influx of all the data for us.
Oh, sure. No, and I could see that being very helpful for just people in all sorts of different areas, between package delivery, food delivery, possibly even first responders, I suppose, too. One thing, like you mentioned, that one of the things you rely on is sometimes the feedback and different things from the driver community or from the people using that. So, how would people contact you to let you know either feedback about the app, what they like about it, or even ideas that they might have, or anything like that? What's the best way to point them your direction as far as that kind of feedback?
Yeah, so right now, the best way is just to email me directly at edward@beans.ai. But the new release of the app is going to have a feedback loop option, so that'd probably be the best way once that comes out. But for now, they can just email me directly, and
Okay.
I'll get back to them.
Okay, great. And when it comes to maybe inquiries about being able to do, see if there are opportunities in somebody's market for the mapping, would that be the best place also, is to contact you through that, or is there a different way to go for that?
They can contact actually Mark at Beans Beans.ai, and probably the best way to do it is to go on the App Store or Play Store and look up Beans Mapper, and they'll find the app there. And the way they do it, they download the app, they submit their info, and once they're vetted, the Mapper app will open up to them. And the way it works is once they're in an area, they go in map mode, and then they can see the map surrounding areas, and they'll see apartments that are lit up for that need maps, and it's pretty intuitive. They just select and go and download, and it's pretty straightforward once they do that.
Okay. Great. And now I noticed, probably just for a bit of information, and you can kind of tell a little bit about this, I noticed that the app company name, I guess, that is shown with the app is 100 Feet. Is that correct? Is it the corporate name or?
Yes, that's the corporate name. And then Beans is handling the actual apps for delivery and for the mappers.
Okay. Is there any other kind of contact information that you would want me to put out for you about the app, any kind of website, social media, anything like that you'd like me to?
Yeah, so the launch page that I gave you, the beans.launchaco.com, on there has the links to our social media platforms. So they can just click on there and go on our LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. So we're on there.
Okay, awesome. All right. Any other things that you guys can think of that you want to kind of throw out there to the community or anything?
Like, we would love to get more feedback on the app. We would love for people to use the app, tell us what other features they want to use, be a proponent for the app, and help us solve this complex issue. Like, this thing never existed 5 years back, right? Because there was no DoorDash, no Uber Eats. So suddenly this whole new gig economy has come up, and we found this niche problem to solve based on our own experiences. And we found fellow passionate people who also believed in our motto, who believed in the mission and the vision of the company. And we're marching full steam ahead. We've already spent 1.5 years on this company, and we're going to keep building it. And we want to grow, not only in US, even in few other markets, to continue solving this problem that we have.
Oh, sure.
So always welcoming the drivers, always welcoming the data that we can collect, and all kinds of feedback. And if you are in Palo Alto, feel free to stop by our office. We always have some pizza and beer for our fellow drivers.
That's right. And pool.
And pool. All right. And folks, I think, and that'd be something to really encourage all of you to spread the word about this. If you know other drivers, tell them about the Beans app, because this is huge. It really is. And it is, like you said, you're going to find some places that don't have it yet, but the ones that you do, my gosh, I couldn't tell you how much time it saves. And like I told the story at the beginning, one of my very first deliveries, it was almost an hour trying to find somebody. When you get it coupled with, it's amazing how many times the customer doesn't even know how to tell you to get there. And that was part of the story that I told right at the beginning before starting the interview, is you get somebody that they don't know for sure how to get there. They just moved in themselves. They don't know how to tell you where to go. And you can spend so much time sometimes in that. And when you can get a real picture of exactly what building, where you're at, that can make so much difference for you and your delivery work. And so I really encourage you to let people know about this, spread the word as much as you can, Facebook, anybody that you know that does delivery, and let people know about this app, because I think it's just fantastic. Well, Eddie and Akash, thank you so much for taking the time with me today, and for telling us a little bit more about your app and everything like that. I'm really excited about to see what that's going to look like as it goes down, as it develops, and it's already huge. And to me, anything that's an improvement on top of something that's really good is a great thing. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it.
Ron.
Well, what do you think there, Courier Nation? You got to go check out the Beans app, okay? And if you check out the Beans driver app or the Beans mapping app, depending on how you find it. And I'll have links in the show notes so that you can find all of that. But folks, this could be a great opportunity for you, whether they are mapped in your market or not. Because here's what I mean is, if the Beans app, if they have got a lot of complexes in your market, it's going to make money for you. And the way it's going to make money is it's going to get you in and out of those apartment complexes so much faster. And that means you make more money because you get more deliveries done, right? But here's the other side of it is, if you're in a market that doesn't have a whole lot of the complexes mapped out yet, that could be an opportunity to go out and maybe between deliveries or something, you can go in and do some of the mapping for them and make a few extra dollars that way. So definitely check out the app. Now understand it is in beta, and so there may be some glitches or anything like that. I haven't really run into any problems with it yet, so I've been very happy with it for what it is. I'm excited to see some of the new stuff coming out. Courier Nation, let me ask you a question. Is any of the information that I'm providing for you helpful to you at all? Does it help you run your business? Does it help you feel better about what you're doing as a courier with Grubhub, DoorDash, Postmates, or Uber Eats, or any of these other companies? If so, could you spread the word, please? Could you help us get found? Could you leave a review for the podcast? Any of that kind of stuff helps other people find us, and if other people can find us, that means more people that we can help to take control of their business. In the meantime, Courier Nation, go ahead and check us out at entrecourier.com. Shoot me a note anytime from the contact page from there. I'd love to hear from you. You can actually leave a voicemail message from there. But I would love to hear from you, get your thoughts, any ideas, anything you want to hear about. In the meantime, Courier Nation, one thing I ask you never to forget, ever, 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 is to go out there and be the boss.